Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone out there. This is Robin Deschamps, and this is probably going to be the foregone conclusion of mass chaos, and it's coming to a conclusion. The reason why is because masks have been a very big deal, I think, more than the pandemic. Okay, we know for sure that when you stay away from something as human beings, whether you go to the market, to the store, to the church, to the restaurants, and all those things, it did something. It stopped the spread. Now, fast forward, the mask came about. It seemed that the mask worked because no matter where we went, if you wore them and you still did some of the same things, not going to certain places like the stores, the restaurants, the markets, the churches, it seemed to work. But some people fail to adhere to some of those guidelines, as we know that's been happening. And now that the mandates are being lifted, people are quite obnoxious still and sneaky about what the mask is about. Everyone makes some sort of excuse. Well, not everyone. There's always a minority who's going to make some kind of excuse about a simple mask. Like their rights are being violated, like they can't breathe, medical reasons, all sorts of things. I'm finding out through other sources, including my own, and I'm talking in general terms because this is not about belittling anybody or anything, but just that as human beings, we tend to not want to do the right thing. We want to go against the grain. And what I see when I say obnoxious and sneaky is that I know for a fact by talking to others, by seeing for myself how people react around other people, how people look at other people when they're wearing a mask. Either they're ashamed to wear a mask or they think the mask is stupid, any old kind of reason. But we know for sure that the masks work. But what some people fail to see is that if you're going to go behind someone's back, you're going to, like now you can enter a building, you got to wear the mask. But once you get into the mask, that's once you get into the building, whether it's a restaurant, a bank, or whatever, you can take the mask off. Well, probably not a bank, but in a restaurant, definitely you can take the mask off because you know you got to eat and drink. Now, for the first time in about a year, uh, me and my wife, we finally ate in the restaurant without a mask. We came in with a mask. Now, while sitting down, I noticed there's a gentleman come to the door. He put on his mask, but as soon as he came to the door, he took off the mask. He hadn't even sat down yet. And that makes absolutely no sense. Why would you put on a mask? Because you see it on the front door that you need a mask to go in. As soon as you come to the door, you take the mask off. You haven't been seated. You haven't done anything. That makes absolutely no sense at all. And I see it all day long in various places. Now, even outdoors, in parks and gardens and things like that, you're still supposed to wear a mask, even in the outdoors, even if it's breezy, even if it's raining. I've been through all that stuff. And some people, when they talk, they make absolutely no sense of why they don't want to wear the mask. And I have to tell you that sometimes there are drastic measures when you don't want to comply with simple rules that's been passed down to a private job or a job that sustains itself. People want to argue sometimes, but this mask stuff is coming to a conclusion because now people can wear their masks outside as an optional equipment. Now you are seeing some people who still like to wear the mask. They're not complaining. I said the majority of people are not complaining. Now, maybe they'll take off the mask at some point. Like I take off my mask at some points now more often, but it's become a part of the attire. And I think it's going to be a fashion statement from now on. I mean, we always see models with a little mask, little veil around their face. And we see certain other countries in the Far East where they wear masks for different sorts of reasons, whether it's smog or whatever. And the same thing is going to happen here. I've heard some people, and including myself, that since they've been wearing a mask, that their health seemed to improve. Now, this ain't has nothing to do with the flu or anything, but I can attest to that it does do something. I do feel better. Of course, you still got to stay in shape, but you still do better, seem like breathing wise. But now that the mandate has been lifted, so to speak, because of pressure by the minority, and there's still a minority of people that are getting vaccination. It's still not the majority. So those people who are not getting vaccinated are counting on everyone else, including me. It could be you. It doesn't matter, but they're counting on us to get our vaccinations so that they don't have to. Now I just got through reading something that I never heard before, but there's a term for it, but I know what it is because that's the way we normally think that when a lot of people get vaccinated or taken care of in certain kind of way, that certain kind of people, I'm not going to get all scientific, but there's a certain amount of people who rely on that, whether they try to or not, and not get sick. Of course, you can apply that to the flu because some people do get sick, whether they have the flu shot or not. But if there is a certain amount of people that is a scientific term, and I think it's called herm, herm something, herm. Uh, it's some kind of word that they use. I wrote the word down. I wrote the word down, and now I'm forgetting it. How can I write down the words and then forget it? Called herd immunity. I never heard of herd immunity before, but I heard that in a different kind of way without that word. So if a number of us is getting vaccinated, being taken care of in whatever way medically, that those people can slip through the cracks and not get a vaccination. Now, California is much different. Some of these other states have been radical, and we heard about Las Vegas. Okay, they just totally gone with the whole shebang, but they still got their own little problems there. So they are completely disregarding the mask and social distancing. Now, here in California, the workers still have to wear masks, but everyone else outside, whether in the gardens or whatever, they don't have to wear one. So to me, that doesn't bother me if I'm working and I'm wearing a mask, okay? Because I like wearing a mask it doesn't bother me. The only thing it bothers me about it is I need a we need to find a certain kind of mask that feels comfortable on your face when you breathe. Now I got all kinds of masks, different textures, different materials, and all that type of stuff. But once they dropped the mandate, even for workers, I think we all can wear any kind of mask we want to. Because the big deal about these masks also that when they first started, you can only wear a certain kind of mask, which I thought was crazy. I think anything that's on your face, I ain't talking about a veil, anything that's on your face, they got limited cotton or something that doesn't get through on the side of your face would have been fine. But showing what type of mask we have, what type of material that we must have, I think that caused a lot of confusion. So, in concluding this talk, I probably talked a little bit longer because this has been heavy on my mind, and hopefully, I won't be talking about this again, ever, about math. But the foregoing conclusion is that the whole thing is pretty much over with. People can walk around as free as they want. They have the option, whether they're vaccinated or not. Because to me, I think when you get sick from vaccination or wearing a mask, it really does not matter because it depends on the type of person you are genetically or otherwise, how much exposure you had, even around people who's wearing a mask. So even if you get sick, it all depends on you or I, the person, and how we deal with it. Of course, we have a fighting chance if we're all vaccinated and we're wearing masks. So I think that we all, or some people, are starting to treat this, or they want to treat this like they do the flu. That's all well and good because some people will not take the vaccination whatsoever, and some people will probably never want to wear a mask again. But as I said, in concluding, it is pretty much we can kick it in the bucket. We can kick the bucket. We can dump the water out, the dirty water out, and start over. But for me and others like me, I'm going to continue to wear the mask in certain situations. It's become my attire. And whatever situation you do with your life, I hope it works out for you. And so I hope you take care of yourself, take care of your families and your pets, as I'm copying somebody else, because, hey, I'm a YouTuber, okay? And I watch other YouTubers. So sometimes I copy because it makes sense. So take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video. I already got one ready going already, and I'll be blogging my tail off. Talk to you later, and have a great, great evening wherever you are, or morning.